Hello and welcome back. How to stay and remain joyful, happy in the face of change. When things come your way that are maybe unexpected, sudden, and life does this all the time. You can only feel sad, upset, angry if you expect things in your life not to change. If you do every type of protection possible to avoid the inevitable. You can only avoid change if you die. Once you're dead, for you, for this body, the one you inhabit, change will no longer affect your consciousness. Your body will rot, right? It'll return to the earth and become food. But the circumstances and situations that are related to the life that that body inhabited, it won't affect your consciousness anymore. It won't matter if your car breaks down or, these types of things. So we spend the vast majority of our lives building and creating a sort of life and hoping for a certain type of stability within that life. We become hard, we harden ourselves, and we become very defensive when we don't learn to flow with life itself. When you realize that life is change, you can then begin to meditate on what change is and how you avoid change in your life. How are you trying to keep everything the same? What are you doing in your life right now out of fear of change that is trying to solidify people, situations, jobs, an income? Where are you tightening your grip on the things in your life that may one day change? So how does a person maintain this joyful state, happiness, during change? Well, first of all, and the most important, you can't run from the feelings that arise in the moment. Whatever you feel, you're going to feel. So if you deny that, and that's the first road you took, that will lead you to not wanting to, that's the first road you take that'll lead you into sadness or whatever, lacking some type of word to explain what I'm trying to say here. If you don't embrace the fact that you may feel a feeling you don't want to feel when change happens, then that's the first step you took wrong. All right, that's the first road you should not have gone down. Sometimes you don't have a choice because that's your habit. That's the way you've trained yourself or allowed yourself to train yourself. So first off, you need to understand that everything you feel, whatever you feel, is okay. And being able to transmute those emotions, anything that you experience in the face of change, transmute them into their opposite polarity, or even better, to move past both polarities and to be able to laugh at yourself. Laughter, you see, is the biggest force you can use in the face of change, when you can laugh at how silly it is to cling on to something that is inevitable to, or well, no matter what. Here I go. When you cling on to something that you know will change, if you can learn to laugh at it, then the pain disappears. But you can't force laughter, can you? Maybe you can. Have you ever tried? Try this. And I'm not saying to, well, you never know, it might work actually. If you smile, even a forced smile can change the chemistry in your brain. And smile long enough and you might feel silly at yourself. See, the only reason you might feel sad or angry when you face change is because you take yourself too seriously. You take your life too seriously. And you live your life not with a light heart, but with a certain heaviness that you carry around with you. Change is beautiful. Change is liberating. It's freeing. So when you experience change, and you will, don't push away the sadness. Feel it. Go into your sadness. Go into whatever emotion that you're feeling fully. Embrace it. You don't need to do anything else with it. Just feel the energy of it. It doesn't need any talking in your mind to figure any of it out. You feel the energy of it. And it can transmute on its own into whatever it is it changes into. True transmutation doesn't involve you trying to change negativity to positivity. That's another trick of the ego. True transmutation is when you go through the portal of the emotion itself into the body and allow what comes from it to happen on its own. It's as if the water reaches the boiling point and the emotion itself reaches its point where it goes from water to vapor. It can dissipate into something different. Sometimes you can merge the two polarities. Sometimes sadness and laughter come in at the same time. And then compassion is born. True compassion carries a hint of sadness with it. Not the crying, depressive sadness, but when there's happiness and sadness together. You can see yourself from another's point of view. You're more open to the feelings and emotions of others, because in the moment that you feel happy, you also feel sad. So you're not trying to deny or confirm anything in the person. You can see the people around you, the situation around you, from a broader perspective. When you're looking at things from the perspective of happiness only, then a sadness, any kind of sadness, might feel icky. You might repel away from it. And when you come from the perspective of only sadness, then things that are extremely joyous and happy might feel the same, icky. Oh my God, how could he be so happy? But when the two are there, you can see through the two polarities. As a matter of fact, the two polarities disappear and you realize there were never two, but they were always just one. And they're just different extremes of the same thing. It's like the top and the bottom of the same object, or two sides of the same coin. So how do you stay joyful in change? It's a process, and you need to go through the process of seeing how when you expect something to stay the same, you're devastated when it changes. And eventually, from being devastated so many times, you learn to let go of the expectation at the very beginning of something new. When you recognize that you're starting to cling onto something from the very beginning, you say to yourself in that moment, because of all your past memories, wow, there it goes. I'm doing it again. I'm setting myself up for a large, painful change in the future. Even if it may only be potential, but in my experience, every time you hold on to something too difficult, too hard, too tightly, it always slips out of your hand. Life has a nasty way, or I should say a beautiful way, of giving us these lessons. Love openly. Learn to watch yourself. Learn to notice your behaviors and how when you behave a certain way, that it creates a certain outcome for the future. And eventually you learn to laugh at yourself when you see yourself beginning to cling. You learn to love openly. You learn to let go of a situation at the moment that it starts. And that's the only way you can truly love. Because if you bind someone into a prison, or some situation into a prison, an object you buy into a prison of your ownership, then it's really slavery. It's not love. Some lessons are best learned through experience. And pain can be our best teacher. Wherever you are around the world, whatever time it is that you're watching this video, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Peace.